Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for watching us. Today is a new podcast episode of Florin Carare. Today, I'm with my guest, Mr. Marcos Victor Grant, also known as Stefan Alexandrescu. And we are here to talk about a subject that can happen to any one of you about heavy metal intoxication and the issues that can appear from this kind of problem, especially when it can happen to anyone because doctors do not do properly their job, and it is a case of malpractice. And we are here because I want to help my friend as well to be able to raise the money that he needs to make the checks and also be able to sustain his life because this was affecting his life completely. And I would like to give him the chance to introduce himself and as well to talk about him a little bit, and then introduce the issues that he have because of a case of a malpractice of one of the dental doctors that did not pay attention to his issues. Welcome, Marcus, and please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, Florin. Thank you very much for hosting me. I have been working as a freelancer in the past 18 years, and I do a lot of work for clients in doing consulting and marketing, copywriting, public relations online. And lately, I have been having some health issues that have totally interrupted my activity. So I currently cannot work anymore. And I just want to share my story because I think that this is also something which is possible to happen for lots of people.
Well, I'm so sorry about your situation. This is why we are here, because I would like to tell to all my network about this issue that maybe some of them can help you as well. And please tell me a little bit more about your issue and how did this started, and then I will ask you some other questions.
Yes, of course. So, as lots of people, I had some dental issues, and this year I became aware of initially one infection and then two infection at the roots of two of my teeth. And of course, dentists and specialists have recommended me to first try to take care of these infections with antibiotics. So I did that for several months. And after four treatments with antibiotics, it was obvious that the problems were not going away. I was having difficulty in doing my work. I initially got scheduled for a dentist that I trusted a lot for August, but at the end of July, I was, my health was so paralyzed that I could barely speak. So I just went to the first available dentist that I could find locally. And, I just prayed that everything will be all right. So basically what the dentist had to do was to pull out the teeth and the granulomas that were at the tips of the roots of those teeth. Now, before doing that, so as I said, this is not something totally new for me. I knew for several months that I had, at least one tooth infection, and previously to doing any interventions, I also went to another medic. So I live in Italy, and I am resident here I have been resident here for many years, but I come from a former communist country. So Romania is a country where up to, I don't know how many years ago, lots of dentists were still putting amalgam. Amalgam is basically metal compounds which include mercury in the preparation and the installation of fillings in the teeth. And most of them do it because it's cheaper, but nobody ever told me when I put any kind of fillings in my mouth, that I was going to put mercury in my mouth. I would have remembered that. So considering that I had several fillings, I didn't know if I had amalgam or not. So in the spring of this year, I went to a doctor, and I'm just going to call Dr. One. I'm not going to give any names. So Dr. One looked at my panoramic X-ray and my bidimensional X-rays. She also had CBCT, which is a three-dimensional X-ray. She also took a set of intraoral 3D pictures that sometimes radiologists and dentists need to do in order to make sure what are the composition of the fillings. And basically she said, no, there is no metal in your mouth, there is no amalgam, you don't have to worry about that. So I just believed the medic that, she took a look at 3 sets of analysis. So I didn't have any reason to believe that it would be a misinterpretation. So fast forward to July 2022, when I went, it was an emergency appointment, and I went to this medic and I said, okay, just please pull these teeth out, because I've had it with the trouble that they have been creating for me. Now, I do need to mention that in July, in early July, I was still able to do some work. Yes, the teeth infections were pretty bad, and they affected in a certain way my ability to work, but I wasn't stopped on my track. Now, in July 2022, when I went to doctor number 2, a local dentist, he also took a look at the panoramic X-ray. He actually took 2 other X-rays specifically for the teeth, and he didn't seem to notice anything. And after he started the extraction of one of the teeth, he noticed, while using 2 or 3 different drilling devices, he was amazed. Oh, that is metal. He only figured out that that thing was metal when he tried to use a certain device, and it was obvious that it wasn't working.
Basically, as I understood, his lack of preparation and skills was catching him like a surprise. It was a surprise for him to see that you have a metal. But even if he was seeing like the X-ray, he did not read properly the X-ray in order to understand that you have a metal. And because of his lack of preparation and skills, I think he didn't look properly at the X-ray, because otherwise he would otherwise be seeing the fact that you have that kind of metal, which is an amalgam, and have mercurium.
Well, yes, I want to share with you my X-ray before the extraction. So if you notice here, I have underlined what was the tooth, the first tooth that got extracted, and I don't know how to read an X-ray. It's not my job as a patient to know that. I just relied on doctors to say, okay, doctor, how do you interpret this? Now, it's not something that maybe any doctor could read, but it's something that any dentist who practices should read. Now, after this thing happened, so after this extraction happened, I asked 2 other dentists from 2 different countries, hey, doctor, I'm just showing you this X-ray. What do you think is there? And basically, both of them said, well, it's obviously a metal, an amalgam filling. It's something that it's obvious. So maybe for some of the other fillings that are in my mouth, maybe somebody would need some extra information, like let me see the CBCT, let me see the intraoral photos. But for this, it was something obvious. So that's why I'm thinking that the doctor should have noticed this before doing the extraction on the X-ray and not while he was doing the extraction. So what happened? The doctor performed the extraction until the end, of course, but when you are using drilling device as a dentist, which has a very high speed, what happens with the mercury when, basically the metal filling gets exposed and part of the mercury gets vaporized in the air. And I would just like to share a video that has been put on the internet, and it's a very important demonstration that science people have made about the dangers of metal fillings. So what you can actually picture what happens if you go to a dentist and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he just tries to extract that metal filling without protecting himself and the patient.
Yeah, before putting that video, please also explain to our audience as well, what is mercurium? What is mercury? So to understand.
What is mercury? Mercury is one heavy metal. So there are usually, basically there are three types or three categories of fillings or materials that are used by dentists. There are ceramic materials, so basically all sorts of materials which are based on glass and ceramic. Then there are composite materials, which can maybe resin or some sort of other chemical compounds, which may involve also glass. And third, you have metal fillings, which usually means amalgam. Amalgam, if you are looking for the root of the word, means a composition of mercury with some other metals. And for example, some of the metals that are being used together with mercury are silver, chromium, cobalt, tin, and it can be made in a different composition. So you don't know how much mercury there is in a filling. It can be 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, you don't know. So usually the dentists claim that, well, as long as this thing is tight in your mouth, it's okay, it's safe. Now, I'm not going to talk about the safety of mercury fillings while they are solid in a capsule in your mouth. I'm just talking about the aspect of what happens when you inappropriately vaporize that a certain huge quantity of mercury from a filling when you're drilling at a very high speed. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to put this video, this short video that has 2 minutes that you can also find on YouTube.
We just finished constructing our visualization box, which is made out of everyday materials that you can get in any hardware store. Typically, in most dental schools, it's been taught that the mercury is trapped within the matrix of the amalgam. And so therefore, we're trying to visualize here and prove the fact that there's a significant amount that comes off during the mixing, during the packing, and then we have some teeth with the amalgam that's been set for a while, and we're going to be removing that with a high-speed dental drill in order to visualize how much vapor comes off during that procedure as well.
The American Dental Association has made the argument that mercury is fixed in amalgam fillings and it doesn't come out easily. And what this research that we're doing here visually shows is that when you drill on an amalgam filling, that dramatically exposes the patient and the dentist and the dental technician to huge amounts of mercury vapor that enters the body. It's even worse than what they imagined. 2,483 micrograms per cubic meter, and I've never seen levels of mercury this high. That's pretty much unheard of in any type of work environment. Because it definitely shows, with just absolute fact, hard science, that amalgams, when they are heated with the drill by drilling on them, release copious amounts of mercury vapor into the air.
In dental school, they taught us nothing about protecting the dentist, the staff, or the patients from the dangers of mercury vapor.
Dental schools ought to be fearful of major lawsuits because this is not a secret anymore. You can see it coming out. I mean, the exposure to mercury to those people is just tremendous.
We not measuring it, you're not monitoring it, and you're not educating these employees, then the OSHA regulations are not being upheld.
We're turning now to the OSHA Hazard Communication Standard. It is a final regulation and there is no escape for it for any of us.
Everyone working around hazardous chemicals and other toxic substances has a right to know of possible dangers and how to protect themselves.
Wow, this is scary. This is really scary about the fact that the lack of education of the personnel of the dentists, and even in the dentist schools, they do not train the doctors properly. This is why they expose themselves, but also they endanger the patient.
Well, yes, partially. So I have something to say about that. Now, I have been educated to trust some medical analysis. So if you think that you have a problem and you have some reason to believe that there is a problem, it's important to just make some checks. So for example, in order for somebody, so if somebody would like to know if they have amalgam in their mouth, because many people have put some of the fillings that they have in their mouth some decades ago. Now, it is true that in the past years, Sweden, Norway, and I think Denmark have put laws that restrict the use of amalgam, and the dentists are not using it anymore to put fillings. But the problem is when you need to have one of those fillings out, is the doctor aware? I mean, does he know that there is a danger for him and for the patient, and does he use the proper tools? But first of all, can he recognize that that is a problem? Because, for example, I just gave you one example that two doctors just watched the panoramic X-ray and they said, okay, it's obvious that it was an amalgam filling. I have a report from another doctor who said that, so he watched the CBCT, so one of the three-dimensional X-rays, and he actually used a very interesting technique to find out and to come to the same conclusion. So I'm just going to share a part of his report. So basically, he watched the temperature of the light that is shown on the CBCT by that particular tooth. And he consulted within the specialty literature, and he noticed, okay, what is the temperature color of mercury? What is the temperature color of resin? What is the temperature color of this thing and of that thing? So he concluded that it's very probable that this was an amalgam, and he put that into a report. So for whoever wants to check that, there are, of course, competent doctors who can make a diagnosis, okay? Or, for example, maybe some doctors would say, I'm not sure just based on the panoramic X-ray or the three-dimensional X-ray. I just want to have some set of intraoral photos, But, of course, the medic has to have the awareness of recognizing, well, yes, that is a metal filling which has mercury, therefore it is dangerous, and I need to use a certain type of drilling devices, and I need to take some basic measures to protect myself as a dentist and the patient from this extraction. Because there are a lot of people, there are actually millions of people who came in the past decades from countries that were formerly communist, and amalgam has been used a lot in these countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and so on. And many of these people have come to UK, Italy, France, and considering that dentists in these countries don't use anymore some of these metals in some of these materials for decades, they might not be able to recognize them, but that's not an excuse for that lack of, if at least the doctor is not sure, he should say, hey, go and get the second opinion, not say, oh, you're fine, you don't have any amalgam in your teeth, you can go and get just any kind of extraction.
So basically, from what you just show us in regards to this video, this is how you get intoxicated with the mercury, with this heavy metal. So this is quite scary. Many of us, they do not know what they expose, and they do not care enough about what kind of substance you have it in your tooth. If you have a problem and you need to fill it, I think this should be a public awareness,
Yes.
in order to make sure that you don't intoxicate yourself with mercurium and then change your life forever, because unfortunately this is have very heavy consequences in regards to your body once you start drilling in that amalgam substance that is containing the mercury, and it's really dangerous for the body. So I'd like to ask you, because you said about this, what kind of symptoms you have because of this
Yes.
of this
So initially I wasn't I didn't start noticing the symptoms until a few days after the extraction, and that happened because it takes a few days for the heavy metals to go from the lungs, because you breathe them in, to the blood, and then to several tissues. And mercury likes a lot to get stuck in the brain or the liver or the kidneys, or in some cases the bones. So whenever you want to notice because, okay, let's say not everybody has a negative reaction to mercury, mostly 90% of the population. So in 9 of 10 cases, people might experience, after an improper extraction, some of the things that I started experiencing. I'm just going to give some of examples. I'm not, it's not an exhaustive list of symptoms. It's just what I have experienced. And the symptoms have been going worse and worse after the extraction, so in the weeks that passed since then. So for example, there is a difficulty to get rest. That means that I have difficulty into falling asleep, I have difficulty into staying asleep, and I'm not able to rest as much as I would want to. I mean, even after 10 hours of sleep, I wake up still tired. There are a lot of issues which are correlated with difficulty of concentration. Like, for example, I have difficulty to focus. I go to the kitchen and I forgot, why did I go to the kitchen? I take a lemon in my hand. I'm asking myself, what do I need to do with this thing next? What am I doing here? And I need to remember, oh, I need to cut this and I want to make a lemonade. That's why I'm doing this. These are not, I mean, some of these things may happen to each of us, but these things happen to me every day, several times a day. Brain fog, difficulty in remembering some of the things that I was saying, or I even started forgetting some of the. So I'm talking to someone, I forget what is the name of that person. And it's not something that is forever, like, oh, then I remember, shit, I remembered the name of that person, but right in that moment, I wasn't able to figure it out, to remember, okay, this is the person that I'm talking to. Another thing is limb numbness. So in some mornings, so that's one of the things that happens to my mind. I forget some words, like that part of the day that is at the beginning, what it is called, morning. Okay, so in the mornings, sometimes I notice that I wake up not feeling a hand or one of my feet, and I have to move it like it's a dead limb with the other hand or to feel it again. So that also happens when I'm sitting, for example, at the same position at the table for a long period of time. So I lose sense in one of my legs or one of my hands. I have decreased coordination and spatial awareness. That means that I might stumble upon things in my house without any reason. So it's not like I leave a lot of things on the floor to stumble upon. But I remember that one night I woke up from the bed and I didn't know on which side of the bed I have to get up in order to go to the bathroom, because I forgot the layout of my room. And it's not like I've made changes in the past year to how I put the furniture around. I have sometimes vision changes, like, for example, what I'm seeing moves very rapidly to the right or to the left. And it's something like, it happens for a few seconds, but imagine what happens if that happens to you when you're in traffic. You could get into a car crash. Mental confusion is something which is very obvious. I also have I seem to be even less in contact with what I'm feeling, with my emotions, with transmitting what I'm feeling and even feeling some things. So that's why, for example, one of the effects that can come from mercury poisoning is a diagnosis of autism. So a lot of people have so the neurological damage that gets caused when you have heavy metal detox can lead to a lot of problems. What other issues? What are their symptoms? So irritability, like, for example, if, let's say, I'm trying to connect the webcam to the computer and it doesn't work, and I get very, very upset about that. And it seems that the most common emotion that I get in contact with is anger. I get angry. This doesn't work. I don't know how to do that. And it's something like you would expect such things from a small child, and it's even surprising for me. Like, for example, one night I wanted to transfer some information from my computer to a memory card, and in the morning I woke up that, whoa, the information is already there, but when did I do that? I don't even remember connecting the memory card or putting this thing. And then I tried to connect it again, and there are all sorts of things that happen. And if I know myself, and if I notice myself, I have to pay attention to what is happening, which is not very familiar for me. So I am a person who is aware of the supplements that I need to take. I used to teach people memory and concentration. When I was in Romania, I had trainings that I would do in Bucharest, and people from all over the country would come to me to those trainings to learn how to read better, to read faster, to concentrate, and to memorize better. And I'm having memory faults, So it's something that it's very obvious for me that it's something like I feel that my skills and my abilities have been downgraded 10 times. And sometimes I have this strange urge to relax by doing activities that are not urgent nor important, but they require me to follow a certain pattern. Like, for example, I would do a lot of image retouching because it's something that it's very simple. It doesn't require a lot of brain power, and it's a very repetitive technique that I can just use again and again and again and again. But it's something that it's the only thing that I could do, because trying to read a book or trying to learn something new is very, very difficult. I mean, I can still do it, but it requires me a lot of effort, and then I feel tired. And all of these symptoms are not all the time. So right now, for example, I'm feeling okay, but this morning I had such a nausea, and I had such a sensation that I was going to throw up, that I wasn't able to eat anything today. So sometimes people would say, "Oh, but you seem fine right now." Well, yeah, right now I seem fine, but I don't know what's going to be in the afternoon. And for example, if in the afternoon I have an appointment with a client, and what I said to the client, I'm sorry, I'm feeling so ill, I'm feeling so sick, I'm not able to do this. And it's something like, people cannot rely on me, and I cannot be responsible for what I could usually take. So all of these things, so if you just look at each of these things, you could say, well, maybe you don't have enough B3, or maybe you don't have enough B12, or whatever. But all of these things, if you notice several of them, and you do take some analysis, then you can find out if you have a problem. And it's something which can be examined by a toxicologist or a medic, and he or she can tell you if, yes, there is a heavy metal poisoning in your body.
Yeah, it's a lot of issues because of this unprofessionalism, because of the doctor did not realize that you have a amalgam which is have mercury inside, and it is a heavy metal, and it leads to so many complications and so many issues that now you have to sustain with, and which is really hard. I cannot imagine like how it is to be like that, and how it is to feel like that, and realize that you don't have your own like 100% capabilities and be able to work as much as you can, and in knowing yourself that you could do even more than this, but because of this situation you have to basically to decrease what can you do for your situation, which is really hard.
Yes.
I don't like to happen to anyone that is listening to us, and I hope this is a lesson for everyone to pay attention to this. And if you like this video as well, to support Marcus Victor Grant, to support his cause, and to be able to sustain his life, and also his efforts to detoxify his body. I hope anyone that is listening and is part of my network can help him in any way. And then at the end of this video, definitely we'll leave the details how you can contact Marcus directly, and how you can help him.
There will be a link with this video together.
Yeah, I would like to ask you another question. So why the doctor that was involved in your extraction, basically in your tooth replacement, did not after seeing your X-ray, did not realize that you have an amalgam? If you can remember
Yes.
ourselves, because I think you already said it, but just to understand why
Yes.
he did not realize that this is something that can endanger him and yourself as well, with heavy metal intoxication.
Well, yes, I don't know what is the right answer about this, but I have some theories. So one of the first theory is pure incompetence. So the doctor should know this, and for some reason he didn't. Now, why would this happen if that is the case? Now, you have to acknowledge for the fact that a lot of the medics, after they finish school, they don't allocate a lot of time for learning. So if they have been taught in school that mercury amalgam is a danger, then it is possible that they would know. But for example, a lot of medical schools have just pulled that information out of their textbooks. So for example, I don't remember in what European country, I think Denmark, Holland, they just pulled in 2001 or in 2002, they pulled out all of the information about amalgam. So all of the doctors who have been going to faculty in the past 2 decades, they can't know if they just rely on what they were taught in the schools. They don't know what is the danger and how to recognize it. Now, some of the older doctors may not, they may have learned about this, but they don't know of the new methods that you can use, like, for example, interpretation with the CBCT, that you can tell if there is a method in there that could endanger your health and the patient's health. Because you have to consider that if a medic is truly incompetent, then he is not only endangering the patient, but also himself and the people who are working for him. So it's not only the patients who have reason to worry, but also the dental workers who can make a complaint, or they can at least require to have a mercury measurement in the dental office, and to know if they have if they are protected or if they are exposed to these to such things. Another possible explanation would be unprofessionalism. So maybe the doctor noticed that, but he said, maybe the patient won't think about it, or maybe the patient won't notice. Let's just bill them because I can, and let's hope that he doesn't notice anything. So usually it's very difficult for some people to separate incompetence from unprofessionalism. So, for example, I'm not a medic, so I'm not able to say or to tell if another dentist is competent or incompetent. It's not my job to say that. I can say, yes, that is a possibility of explanation. And another possibility would be unprofessionalism, okay? So, or negligence, let's say. Maybe the doctor did have the knowledge, but he didn't put it to practice for some reason. Another possible explanation would be a cultural explanation. Like, for example, okay, maybe a lot of the dentists who work in the Western countries don't know a lot about the materials that have been used in the past decades in the countries from the Eastern Europe, and they might not have the awareness that this may pose a risk for their health and their patient's health. But this issue is something that they can get informed about, even if they are not aware of this. So I would say that these are the three possible explanations for which the doctor didn't know. But I would say that even if the doctor didn't know, he should have known. It was his job to know. It's not, I don't think it's my job as a patient to know what the doctor is supposed to know and tell me. Now, of course, as a patient, I am responsible for getting a certain amount of opinions, but you also have to consider that is limited, because as a patient, I cannot go to 2 or 3 dentists and pay a whole set of analysis and ask, well, doctor, what do you think? Do you think that's amalgam or not? I only asked several doctors after the incident because I wanted to see if this is an excusable error. So from what those 2 doctors told me, it wasn't an excusable error. It was an obvious mistake, and it may be a case for malpractice.
Okay, for our audience today, what kind of help do you need? And explain a little bit about what is the situation, your situation, to make sure that they can help you.
So
and
one of the first things that you need to do once you have the suspicion that you might have been poisoned with heavy metals. So when I'm mentioning heavy metals, I'm not only mentioning mercury, because yes, that is one of the most dangerous ones, but there is also chromium, cobalt, aluminum, copper, silver, and all sorts of other metals that may be used in the compound that is being put into the filling. So all of these things can be measured by doing analysis in the hair, in the blood, in the urine, and also you can do an fMRI in order to check for neurological damage produced by the amalgam, that was released during the extraction.
My question to you was like how the audience can help you today. Basically,
Yes,
what kind of help
yes.
do you need in order, and what kind of checks do you need to make in order to
Exactly.
make sure
That's
that
what I was
yeah.
going towards. So
Yeah.
I need to do some of these checks. I have seen a toxicologist that I just showed the toxicologist the report that I had, the X-ray. And of course, the recommendation was to go and get some analysis done. And there is catch-22 about this. So why is there a catch-22? And this is something important that a lot of people don't know. So when you have a mercury exposure, which is vaporized, so pay attention, because this is very important. So when a lot of people are thinking that, oh, I might have gotten heavy metal poisoning, some people, if you don't specify vaporized, they might think, oh, maybe you accidentally ingested something, or, because there are some things that, there may be in the food and that just go through the body. But when you inhale heavy metals that have been vaporized, they go into the blood and then they go into the body and they stay in the brain, in the liver, or wherever they are. So in order to have the analysis be relevant, because for example, I may take a blood analysis and mercury or other heavy metals may show up or may not. But if they don't show up, it's not because I don't have them, it's because they aren't circulating in the body because I haven't started a detox protocol. So you need to first start doing a detox protocol for at least a few days, from what I understand from a toxicologist, in order to have the metals which are already in the body show up in the blood, in the urine, so that you can have a representation of, first of all, how much you have in your body, because you need to know that in order to estimate how much do I need to detox. And you also need to know if the body is properly disposing of the mercury. Because, for example, if mercury shows up in the hair, but it doesn't show up in blood or urine, even after you started detoxifying, then it means you might have some problems with your kidneys, or at least this is what I understood from the toxicologist and from what I read. I'm not a medic, so I'm not giving medical advice, but from my understanding, it's important to start to detox for a few days, do the analysis, wait for the results from the analysis, and then work with the toxicologist in order to choose heavy metal detox protocol, which is appropriate for you. So basically right now, I need money for three things. I need money to do these analysis. I need money to buy reserves for the detox protocol. And I need money to live because, as I mentioned, I'm not able to work anymore. I'm not able to make any money. So I need money in order to cover the expenses for living and for the detox. Now, of course, there are all sorts of different detox protocols. And of course, your toxicologist, your medic can recommend something which is appropriate. But let's say that conservatively, you need somewhere between 500 and 600 euros every month in order to detox. And of course, you need to do that for several months. So this is a minimum amount that I need in order to start doing this detox protocol. And then, of course, the analysis, hair, blood, urine, fMRI, these also cost several hundreds of euros, they may even cost up to 1,000 euros. And of course, living in Italy is not cheap. and it's something that I need to cover while I'm doing the detox. So I am looking for people who would be interested in supporting me in my journey. And I'm also happy to share with whoever needs this information, some of the things that I'm finding out as I'm talking to the doctors, as I'm talking to attorneys, as I'm talking to the people who can support me into bringing this to the awareness, because I wasn't aware that this might be such a big problem until I got hit by it.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a case of malpractice, and it's also that affected your life. And it's about a case of education of the general, of the doctors, of the public, of the school education system that was not preparing enough the doctor, and the doctor did not care enough about the situation that exposed it yourself and exposed it himself as well, and other people that are working with this doctor. And as well, at the beginning, it was a case of education from the Dr. One that you mentioned about what kind of risk you are exposing yourself in, and did not explain to you what kind of risk you might have and how to approach if you have in future this kind of problems, a tooth problem, how to make sure that you don't expose yourself and the doctor number two to this issue. I think it's important to make awareness to the general public, to the education system, to the doctors, to the lawyers that are able to help you to raise this case of malpractice and public education system, right? Because I think this is a very serious case, and I'm asking my network of lawyers and my network of doctors that are able to help my friend Marcus Victor Grant to be able to help him, and also be able to give some advice and support as well, financial support or medical support or legal support. Please, any help is very useful, and please get in contact with him. We'll leave the details in the description of this video, and I hope
I would just want to mention this thing that, for example, there are several neurological problems that are so verdicts or diagnostic that people have based on fMRIs or other medical investigations, which are actually caused by mercury poisoning. I'm not saying that all of these issues are being caused by heavy metals, but I'm saying that one of the causes that has been proven by medics and in research and in tribunals to lead to such problems, such neurological damage, is mercury. So people may be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, autism, chronic fatigue, Lou Gehrig's disease, or Parkinson's as an effect on their neurological state of health, because once the heavy metals settle in the brain and they keep on working for months or years, they can lead to such diseases. Now, I'm not claiming that I have any of these problems, but I want to check and make sure that whatever I have been exposed to can be taken out in time for me to be able to, I hope that I will be able to go back to my work and my life as before.
Thank you very much, Marcus, for telling your story. I really hope that your story touched the hearts of many people, and to be able to help you. And please watch the description of this video. That this is how you can get in contact with him and be able to help and support. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you, Marcus, for your story. I'm with you, and I'm looking forward to see how can I add value to and help you to make sure that it will make your life easier. Thank you so much for your time. Take care of you. Thank you, audience, for watching this video, and please get in contact with Marcus and support and provide support, any support that you can do it. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.